Hi everyone, it's Rachel, and in this video I'm going to be showing you what we received in the February Sophie and Toffee Elves box, as well as show you how to make a snow globe photo shaker using the supplies in the box. So in the February Elves box, the items we received were snow globe photo frame molds, epoxy resin with a 1:1 ratio, shaker oil, golden fairy lights, 3 different glitters, shaker film, and then the premium items were snow globe keychain photo molds, UV resin, black pigment dye, and finally green and pink keychains and findings. So moving on to the tutorial, you firstly need to choose a photo that you would like to add into your snow globe frame. I didn't really have any cute photos that I wanted to add into the globe, so I decided to draw a picture on my iPad using an app called Procreate. So I thought I would give you like a little mini tutorial on how I drew my picture. I had measured the dimensions of the silicone mold and then I just doubled that for the canvas size so that the resolution would be higher. I began adding my sunset colors using a large airbrush, and then I used the blur tool to create a smooth gradient. Next I added some little brush strokes of extra color to kind of look like clouds, and again I blurred them as well. Then it was time to start adding my silhouette. So here you can see that I originally started off with a cliff, but I actually ended up changing it. I also traced over a couple's silhouette that I had previously drawn, and I added this into the drawing. Here you can see that I'm fixing up the horizon and making it more into a hill, and then I used a grass brush which I have downloaded, and I just added the blades of grass for some extra detail. I then went into the luminance feature and I selected the glimmer tool to create the stars in the sky, which I focused more towards the top of the image in the blue and purple parts of the sky. I added a large star which I then dragged to make it look like a shooting star, and then finally I added some light leaks to the sky and blurred them slightly just so that they weren't as harsh. Once my drawing was complete, I then went ahead and printed it just on a regular computer printer, and this is how it turned out. So next you want to seal your piece of paper or your photo so that when you add it into your resin it doesn't have any water leaks. So to do this I'm taking some clear book contact and I'm just placing my photo in and then folding it over so the back is also covered as well. I rubbed my fingers really well around the outside of the photo to help push out all the bubbles and seal it all up. If you don't have any clear contact, you can also use packaging tape or even laminate the paper first. Next I took this part of the silicone mold and I realized that once I'd finished filming that I actually made the photo shaker wrong. So you're meant to use both parts of the mold, but I seemed to make it work with just this part, so it's really up to you what you would like to do. I also took the golden fairy lights which came in the Elves box and I placed these around the frame and then just bent them into place. I also turned them on just to make sure that they were all evenly spread out. Then I'm taking the bottle of UV resin and I'm pouring a little bit into the mold and spreading it around using a paintbrush. I took my photo, which is all sealed up with the book cover contact, and then I placed this into the mold and pushed it down onto the resin, and then I cured the resin using my UV lamp. I did this step just to help hold the photo in place when I add all the other resin later on so that the photo won't be floating around and moving in the mold. Now it's time to go ahead and make a mixture of resin for the frame part around the photo. For the purpose of this tutorial and filming it quicker, I'm going to be using UV resin, which works fine. However, it is probably best to use the 2-part epoxy resin which came in the box. I collected a few different types of glitters that matched the color scheme of my sunset drawing, and then I poured each of these into my cup of UV resin and mixed it around using a popsicle stick. After that, I poured the resin into the mold and I let it spread out and also kind of run down the side past the photo. Then because I am using UV resin, I had to cure it under my UV lamp, but if you are using the 2-part epoxy resin, you'll want to let this harden overnight. So once the resin is hard, you can take it out of the mold, and this is what mine currently looks like. To help make my photo a little bit more vibrant, I added some UV resin to the inside of my shaker and I brushed it around, because when you add resin to certain colors, it can help brighten them and make them pop a little bit more. I also went and domed the back of my piece using UV resin, and this just helps to make it all nice and smooth, because I did have some pieces of glitter which were kind of sticking out of the resin backing. Then if you're going to be using a shaker film, you firstly want to remove the pieces of plastic on either side, and then I just used my scissors to cut a rectangle to the same size as my snow globe shaker. You might also notice that I trimmed off the top right hand corner, and this is where I'm going to be adding the shaker oil later on. So to attach my shaker film onto my photo frame, I'm using this UV varnish sealer and I'm just brushing it all the way around the outside, and then I'm positioning on the plastic film before curing it under my UV light. Now before doing this part, I probably should have added my glitter, but I just completely forgot, but that's okay. So you can take some of the glitters that came in the box, but I'm actually going to be using a star glitter just so that it kind of matches the night sky in my sunset drawing. So because I did forget to add the glitter before I added on the shaker film, I kind of had to push it into the hole that I had made for the shaker oil, and I just used a piece of paper to try and slide the glitter down a little bit more easily. Now it's time to add our shaker oil. So I took the bottle that came in the box and I just pushed the top of it into the hole in the top right hand corner, and you can see here that I'm just filling it up until there was a small amount of air left. To seal this up so that none of the oil would come out, I firstly added some of that UV sealer around the hole, and then I added another small piece of shaker plastic film to cover it up. And then the final thing I did to make the front all nice and shiny is I added some UV resin, and then I just spread this around to dome the entire piece. So here is what my finished photo shaker frame ended up looking like. I really love the way it turned out with the sunset drawing and the stars on the inside. As you can see, they kind of float around and it looks really cool. I also love the way that the golden fairy lights inside make it look very magical. And also with my fairy lights, I just left the controller kind of hanging out of the frame. I was going to glue the controller on the back, but I just decided to leave it how it was because it wasn't really bothering me. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel for lots more crafty videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!